Good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am here live with Miss Rocke Jones. I am going to introduce her as everybody's cheerleader. That's what she goes by. So, Miss Rocke Jones, tell us about who you are and tell us about your brand.
Well, my name's Rocke Jones. I'm 20. I'm still in college, graduating December. But who I am depends on who the person is, because I touched the waters of a lot of places. I started off public speaking and doing pageants all nationwide. I got my own TV show, was hosting. I work with the radios. I model, I act, I preach, I do it all.
Nice. I absolutely love it. So tell us, we're going to go back to when you were introduced to Christ and when you got saved. So let's start there and then we'll go through your journey.
So as I was saying earlier, people, when they look at me, especially from school, middle school, high school, they're like, yo, she does everything I want to do. But they don't realize I was also the girl that didn't go to the homecomings. I was also the girl who didn't go to the parties or anything. And that's because I got saved in middle school. I was 7th grade, going to 8th grade. And all those things that people from school identify me as, like the model, the girl on the TV, only came from when I got saved. And nice. I know old church folks would be like, that's against God. We don't believe in modeling or all of that. But I know spiritually, because I have a relationship with God, that they were rewards for being passed over spiritual tests.
Nice.
I was led to God when I think I was 13. I was 13. And it was because I was going to a church and there's a lot of younger people there, like in their late teens, early 20s. And they were the ones at the altar. They were the ones crying out. And like, I just desired that type of relationship. And I know it's usually different. It's like you usually have to go through a hardship before you tend to come to God. But it was because I saw that relationship firsthand. I was like, man, I want that. And I remember when I finally get saved, I actually made a video about like my whole spiritual journey, how I got there. Because I used to be like, nah, wait till I'm 28, had my fun, But I just couldn't help the desire and the hole to go to him. And after I got saved, what happened first? After I got saved, I went somewhere in the east side of Detroit, and I'm from Ann Arbor, Ipsy area. And this guy was knocking on the window.
I'm from the east side.
I'm not gonna hate on you, but
no, it's okay. I understand.
West side, but I was over there, and so I was in the car alone because I was like tired. And I remember I woke up and there was a guy knocking at my window in the car, and it's nighttime. And I was like, should I like keep moving or should I like engage? So I cracked the window a little bit, and it was literally a spiritual encounter. He prophesied over my entire life, well, that entire season, saying like, I'm going to be doing pageants, going around nationally, speaking, and God's going to be using me. He's going to place a crown on me. I'm hearing it. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I had a relationship starting in Christ at this point. So I know anything I hear from God, I pray on it to see if it's confirmation. And I know prophecies you always get confirmation from. And the next day was like Bible study, and a lady had called me over a huge pageant, and she said, I need you to wear a crown. Like, she didn't want me to do the pageant or anything. She gave me a national title to compete with. So I did the competition after that, and what's crazy is this pageant was for America's Virtuous Queens.
Oh, wow. How beautiful.
And it just went right along with what this prophecy was about what God's going to be doing in my season. And it was totally against what I wanted, because I didn't care for pageants. Because I didn't like that you're being judged on your looks.
Okay.
But pageant, it was a normal beauty pageant, but they focused a lot about what made a woman virtuous, a young woman. And obviously, it was having my relationship with Christ and growing it. It was me standing out from other people in school and not having a problem with it. So I'm in 7th grade around this time, and I remember I started going to school, bringing my Bible. So when we were doing our reading time, I'm reading my Bible. When everybody was going to lunch, I actually stayed behind in a smaller classroom, and I just sat there and reading the Bible, and I was jotting notes. And it's super cool to keep a journal, because now I go back and I can see how I grew from different seasons. And what's different is I wasn't like a shy kid or anything because I was in cheer, basketball, I did track, volleyball, I did all the sports, and I had a lot
Mm-hmm.
of friends. But even then, they could see something different with me, and they're like, you know, she ain't the girl with the drama, she ain't the girl with that. So then I stopped really getting invited to parties, um, which was cool with me because I wasn't gonna go anyways. Eighth grade, they saw like she won all these pageants, she's going around the country speaking, she's getting headlines. Like, how is this happening? But then they go back. Oh, it happened when there was a switch.
Yes, yes. When you made that commitment. So what was your first speaking engagement?
The first one I can remember was for a women's conference at a church, and it was really big women ministers from the country. They all flew in
Mhm.
and were speaking. I was the open mic, or I was the open speaker for them, and that alone was amazing because it was about women empowering through Christ.
Yes.
And then after that, I had spoke at Spelman. I was invited to go to Spelman and speak for another women's conference, and there they actually honored me. And it was everything that I get, even if it doesn't say God, it'll say encourage or inspire others. For
Mm-hmm.
and it's usually because I was in my pageants and they saw that crown, and I didn't like wearing the crown. A lot of people don't know that because the crowns from national titles are like that big,
Yes.
so it made me or be eyes on me, and I'm like, I don't deserve no crown. I'm an average Joe, but I've
Mhm.
learned just recently how it wasn't for me. It was never a crown for me, but it was a representation to say we all are young queens because we
Yes.
are of the kingdom, and
Yes.
this crown we all have. But this is just a visual one for you to see, and like I'm not rocking it for me. I'm rocking it for everybody, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So those were my first two big engagements, and it was always about just women empowering.
Excellent. Excellent. So, um, friendships. Let's talk a little bit about your friendships. Um, when you are, coming up in the eighth grade, you're not being invited to these parties and things like that, but people see that as something different about you. People are seeing, how were the girls around you? Were they drawn to you? Were they asking you questions kind of secretly, openly? How was those relationships developed?
I would say the main thing that I was blessed with when I got saved from seventh to eighth grade was I never was in any drama at all. People didn't
Nice.
gossip, and they didn't come to me to gossip because I set the foundation from the very jump. I don't want to hear it because if I hear it, I'm entertaining it, and now I'm a part of it.
Exactly.
Because I kept saying that and doing that type of stuff in seventh grade, they realized in eighth grade, all right, we're not even going to invite her. She's not going to come. It didn't bother me because
Hmm.
I knew who I was, and I was growing my relationship with God. And as I was growing my relationship with God, and when I say that, when you're growing in something, you usually are getting tested in something. So I
Yes.
was growing by passing these tests. When something didn't feel good, something wasn't right, but I was like, you know what, maybe I should entertain it. Actually, I'm not because I'm growing with Christ. And with that, every time I passed that, I got my own
Hmm.
show. I got on the radio. I got whatever people came to me and knew me for
Hmm.
happened after a spiritual test.
So
So
these tests were leading, and you knew this. You were able to see them, and at a young age, that's pretty impressive because it takes some people many years to develop that insight and that foresight, um, and that level of discernment that okay, this is a test, and every time you pass a test, it's a reward at the end. Um,
every time.
every time, literally, like okay, I got a pageant. I won this pageant. I got my own show. So on your show, what was the show about? What was that like?
So this show was me hosting. So we would fly in different artists and producers, anyone who was pretty big in the entertainment world, and we
Mhm.
have them come and I'll just interview them. And with them, I love hosting. I love what you guys do because it's like I'm asking the questions for them to tell me stuff and them to give me answers, but it's the way you can word questions to
Yes,
get what you want to know. So I will word it very open ended to the point where I'm having them actually share their stories with me. And one thing
yes,
that's similar with every single person I interview, because they're in the entertainment world, so you don't think they got a story like that, but their
yes,
stories always came back to God.
yes.
They knew it was nothing but God. They're like, I might not be in my right now, but I'm telling you, there was somebody greater than me watching over me and leading, guiding me for this. Um,
Yes.
And I actually, with that, how I know everything was a reward spiritually is because every single thing people know me for are things I never went out my way to get. I didn't ask for the show. It was a call from when I was out of state. I was in Atlanta, and they
Wow.
called me straight saying, "We people keep referring you to be our host and to run our show. We already got 3 hosts, but they want you to be the only host."
Excellent.
Every single thing was like that.
Wow. And look at the gifts. That's definitely a beautiful gift. And my sister says you two look like cousins.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Oh. Um, okay, so and you're pulling these stories out of people. I mean, these are mature adults as well. And you're the insight that they're giving you, it's empowering you at the same time, and you're growing and learning from all of this and using it as a tool of ministry,
Mm-hmm.
as a major tool of ministry. I think that is pretty phenomenal. I am just, you guys, I am totally blown away with Miss Rocke Jones because she's so young, but yet so impactful. On your Instagram, you actually host a Bible study and you tell stories about the Bible and you break it down. So tell us some of the feedback you've gotten from people on Instagram, or, just different things from people in your age group.
So I'm gonna tell you how it started and then the feedback. So how I
Okay.
started with Bible story breakdowns on my Instagram. It's a series I've been starting. It started with I made videos, IGTV videos, just so Instagram could get to know who I was. Because at first it was just a whole bunch of my modeling pictures or acting pictures. So this is what people know me as, and that's all they were
Mhm.
seeing. But they didn't know who I was. So I was making videos so they can get insight on me, who I was. And the videos were always just normal talk, inspirational usually. I didn't mean
Mhm.
for because I never like practice. I just speak, and they always come back to me inspirational, and God's always in it.
Yeah.
So people then started reaching out to me like, "Yo, so how did you become Christian, or how do you grow a relationship?" They just started asking me different questions,
Mhm.
and what's wild with the feedback, even off of social media, I actually started talking more to young adults, so
Okay.
college age, but I also connect with people my age group. And then I have
Mhm.
people older. I have siblings who are in their 40s. So I have like a huge spectrum of people. And it's crazy how the older people will come to me and they're like, when I look at you, it can't be age because you are my role model. And I'm like, I'm your role model. God's your role model. But thank you.
Exactly.
So sweet.
Nice.
Um, and I realized, just speaking with people, that they didn't remember the Bible stories or they didn't know them and they were just intrigued and they really wanted to. And I think that's where it starts. So with the series, I don't want to dictate what you think or what your perception is. So with the series, I just try to give a plain view, just like in old Sunday school, and then I'll ask you a question, or that opens dialogue for us to go deeper. It lets your mind to start, lets your spirit. Everyone has a spirit. It lets your spirit get triggered, get anointed maybe off of it, and allows you to now have your perception off it. So
Excellent.
I hope it inspires people to pray and ask for feedback on it.
I absolutely love it. So, what do you believe your purpose is throughout this whole journey, throughout life? What do you believe your absolute purpose is?
So I know we all have our purpose in anything we do to give God honor and glory.
Mhm.
I don't think my sole purpose is to so much preach a Bible down different people's throats, just because the different areas he's taking me are areas Rocky's saying no to. I didn't care to be in no club, didn't care to host no mayor parties, I didn't care to like all that stuff. But he keeps putting me in these positions, and
Mhm.
I'm low key an introvert, but with these jobs, it's causing me to be extroverted while I'm working.
Mhm.
So I don't think it's for me to say, now in this verse and in this chapter, this is what you're supposed to be doing, but it's this conversation. It's that realness to open up.
Yeah.
Um, and I think with doing that, God's drawing people to Him, and I know that's why I'm getting called back from modeling gigs. And I'm not tall. I'm 5'5". I'm not skinny. And I'm
Okay.
doing all these modeling jobs, and I'm like, why are you guys choosing me? They're like, it's something about working with you. I don't know what it is. It's not.
Mhm.
They're like, it's your personality, and it's not my personality, but it's the spirit that they can feel.
It's the spirit that's in you. I truly believe that when you operate at higher vibrations than most, and yesterday I was sharing with a young lady that it's that energy you're putting out. And when you put out that energy, people are wanting and they need that connection because they want to vibe like that. It's that same experience you had when you saw those younger people when you got saved at 13. You saw that and you wanted that and you desired that. So I definitely know and believe when you put out that energy and that's your spirit, your persona, and it's all God. And there's times where people like, well, where do you think this came from? It's God. I take no credit, and I love that about you. You're not taking his credit, and you continuously give him the glory. And I know that's definitely what it should be. So that's a beautiful aspect that you have about you, and I know your purpose is definitely will be fulfilled. What are some things that what's the main thing that you are most proud of in your life?
That I'm most proud of,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, if I'm being real, I would say that I'm able to have a relationship with all my nieces and nephews because there's a whole bunch of them.
Nice.
And with doing so, we're able to have that dialogue that I had when I was 13 and 14 with God, that we're able to open that and talk about that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's my biggest thing to say I'm proud of, to say that I know if they know every secret about me, I won't feel some type of way because I know that every choice that I've taken since a young woman was to be a role model, not just for my community, but specifically my nieces and nephews. Um,
Nice.
I think that I can look back and I know I'm not disappointed in myself, and I know down 20 years from now, I can tell my kids everything and have no problem.
I love it. I love it. So, what are some of the things, the essential skills you've learned from your journey, like being a host and being a speaker and interacting with it? Because I'm pretty certain you interact probably with people who are not 20 years old. You're probably interacting with people who are 30 and 40, more mature people, because let's a lot of 20-year-olds, they're not really focused on some of the things you're not a lot, but
Yeah,
some are, but not focused on the things that you're focused on. What have you learned, on this journey with that?
I will say what I've learned, the biggest thing that I learned, and I believe I told you this earlier, is something you guys said actually. A lot of the times when they call me to be inspirational, to speak inspiring words to them, I might come do that, but I feel like I'm being more inspired in the midst of it.
Nice.
I would say just recognizing that you're not
Mm-hmm.
the one coming to inspire, even if they give you a stage and a microphone. Every single person has a story and every single person has power. I actually worked at the homeless shelter not that long ago. I just stopped. And one of my biggest takeaways from them working there was every single person has power. And to know when I walked into my job, it'll be 100 plus people in there seeking service, um,
Mm-hmm.
being homeless. And I used to sit back and be like, man, this room is so powerful. Like, can
Mm-hmm.
you imagine for God to have their story to come to this part? It's not that He gave up on them. If He gave up,
No.
they wouldn't be walking. But it's
Yes.
that them to go through this because some people we can talk about it, we can see it, but because we never went through it, we don't have that same anointment, that same
That's
power and
right.
understanding He's drawing then. Like this room, I was like, this is so powerful and heavy because just like me, just like you, God fought for every single one of their lives last night for them to
Yes.
wake up today. So just to know that every single person, God sees so much in them. That crown
Yes.
that I had, He has it on everyone.
Everyone.
They might not recognize it right away. Some people don't recognize it. Some people might have forgot that they have it and it didn't fall away. Some people might think, oh, I lost my jewel, so it's no longer worthy. But like that's not the case. And when you're spiritually strong and you are having a relationship with God, you're able to recognize that in everyone. And I think
Yes.
just so many different people, no matter their age, no matter their titles, I can
Mhm.
see jewels, and we all have different unique jewels.
Yes. Yes. Excellent. How do you want to make people feel, Rocky?
I want to make people feel heard. Honestly, that'll be one of my biggest things.
Mhm.
And with doing so, I want them to be able to feel that joy and that peace that I was given. I remember when I first got saved in middle school,
Mhm.
it was so hard not to preach a Bible down nobody's throat. I didn't never preach no scriptures to nobody just willingly, but they saw the Bible in my hand. I'll talk, I'll still be mean. They'll be like, oh, she's always so cheerful. She's so joyful.
Mhm.
Like, it's Monday and it's 7 a.m. What are you doing? God is good. want people to be able to feel that, because I remember when I got saved, I was like, Lord, I want everybody to feel this high. Like, this is a
Mhm.
high like no other. And I know
Yes.
grown people who never felt this high, and I'm like, how I want them to feel this. Like, I want them to feel this, and I know if I read the Bible, they gonna run away. So what do I do? He,
Mhm.
he sent me to 1 Timothy 4:12. He's like, it's through your actions, through your speech, it's through your kindness, and with doing that, because that's a test for me too.
Yes.
They're able to feel that joy. They're able to feel that peace that's not from me, but it's from God. And the fact that they're able to feel that, they're more willing to talk to me. And when people talk to me, I think I'm great at communication. I think that's one of my strengths, because it's not so much me speaking, but I'm able to really hear you. Because as I'm listening, I'm praying. And it's just so amazing how that every intimate situation is great. Whether it's a crowd or one-on-one, it's always intimate.
I absolutely love it. I actually was watching Selena last night, and I've seen I know I've seen it several times, but a different revelation came to me last night in watching her. And it was actually two different moments. The first one was I'm like, she gave her best.
Yeah.
She gave her best, and she was so powerful at it, and she had so much joy doing it, but she was able to give her best because she was thoroughly happy on the inside. She was happy and she was joyful. And I honestly believe that when we have that joy, and you know what you said, how you want to make people feel and to experience that same joy. I think when people experience that, they don't understand. That's when I'm able to give my best and excel in my life. And I see that on your journey at 13, and God's taking you from different levels of joy, and you're just excelling through those areas because you have that inner joy and that happiness, and you're able to get through those things, and he's giving you, you're going higher and higher with it. So I believe that's definitely an area that more people should tap into and understand that when I give God this, he gives me back and he grows me and grooms me. It's definitely a beautiful thing. So,
Though, especially just off of social media, Instagram, you can see
mhm.
the way. And a lot of people are like, yeah, she probably just doesn't go through stuff. I know a lot of people actually said that to me. And even
Mm,
see it, obviously a lot of people don't put their negatives out there, but when I make my videos, I try to be more transparent.
mhm.
But I think for people to recognize that true joy, you have to know, for you to have that much joy, you went through something. Because
Yes,
if you ever go through nothing, you would never know what this joy felt like. And
definitely.
you and in the midst of me being blessed with all those amazing things, I probably had the hardest time. I know for a fact I went through things that I know 40-year-olds who've never been through something like that.
Mhm.
And just because I know I was able to get through it with a sound mind and with happiness and joy in me, I know that wasn't me. And I know God was covering me in that mist. And with doing that, that's how I was able to fulfill what he was calling me to, is because he was still protecting me through all the stuff that was going on behind the doors.
Yes, definitely. I agree. You do have to go through, and I believe when you go through and you're definitely when you're covered,
Mm-hmm.
you go through despite of the moment, despite of the lowliness or the hurt or the pain, you're still going through saying, God, I know you're going to bring me through. And
Yeah.
that still gives you that hope and that confidence and that encouragement. So nice, nice. So, dealing with the pandemic, how has this shifted your year? Has it been better for you, worse for you? Because some people, I think some people are kind of afraid to say, well, 2020 has been good to me, you know? So, how have you dealt with it and how has it been for you?
I've actually had this conversation many times throughout the whole pandemic with my friends, and we came to the agreement that it's based off your perception of it. Spiritually, everything, there's a lot going on. It's a huge warfare, and it's just clear as day to every single person. But what you can see with it, you see some negatives, you do see negatives, but it's causing people to be with themselves, be isolated, to where it's like you have no distractions, and now you hear God, you see God, now you're seeking God. So in that sense, it's a plus. But just in my personal life, on a natural level, I would say it's been a tough year. Hasn't been my toughest year, but it's definitely been a tough year. I lost
Mhm.
my uncle COVID earlier this year, and that probably was the hardest
Sorry.
part of this year. Thank you.
Mhm.
Um,
I lost mine too, so I'm right here with you, honey.
yeah, sorry about yours too.
Yeah.
But in that, I just saw he was able to write us the last words before he literally took his last breath, and he was like, "I love God and I love my wife," and we're like that gave me so much peace in that sense. But my degree is in sports marketing, so I had this whole year set up to be with the Milwaukee Bucks. I was gonna come down and work with the Houston Texans and the Rockets, and because of pandemic, it stopped all of that. And I'm graduating in a couple months, so it's like, all right, well now I need to figure it out. So that part was kind of annoying, but with doing that, I was able to get a radio hosting job for 107.5. I was got
Congratulations.
um, but even with that, I was able to take a step back from that stuff because I could do it remotely, and
Mhm.
I dived in spiritually, and things I thought I was good on, God was able to mirror out of me, and He was like allowing me to mature and grow to a whole nother level that I didn't even know was there.
Nice.
Like, I'm good. He's like,
Yeah.
actually not. Um, and I was trying to, and he actually exposed why I never wanted the pageant, why I never really wanted the stage and the crowns, why I never wanted my own platform. He exposed that. He was like, because at a young age, the enemy had to come in and place a seed to the point where you felt you didn't need no attention. You got bad attention at a young age that you didn't want positive attention later on.
Mhm.
And he was able to open that up for me and then dive deeper with it. And he was like, now you have the option and choice to take that seed and prune it out, take those thoughts and cultivate them and throw them out, or capture them and throw them out, or you can keep them going and just be like, you know what, I'm used to this. I'm in my norm. I can control this. Or you could take it out and say, look, Lord, I'm done fighting against you. Take me how you want it. And with doing that, he's just leveling me up spiritually, mentally, in a whole nother level that I know something greater is coming. And he needed to wipe away what I was planning for the end of this year for what he wants to do to come past. So I
Excellent.
think it's a positive note with that sense.
I love it. I love your perspective and how you look at the whole situation. And I honestly, I think this year has been definitely a season of pruning, a season of really individually being exposed before the Lord, like really standing bare. So it's been a good thing. It definitely has. Um, what makes you smile, Rocky?
The fact that I'm waking up, I'm able to wake up, and I've been telling this to a couple of my friends lately that I wake up so grateful that I have a
Mhm.
peace no matter what's going on in the world, and no matter what or actions are towards me. It's the fact that I can wake up and nothing can knock me. Like, me and God are so strong that absolutely nothing is knocking me, and I am so grateful. I can't put it to words how that feels, because when you have a sound mind and you do have peace, that's where that joy is able to come in. It's not being filled by anxiety or stress or depression now, because that's taken away. There's way more room for peace and joy, and that that's my biggest thing.
Nice, nice, nice. So, if you were a superhero, what would your power be?
My power. So I always said as a kid, if I could have any power, it would be to speak every single language, including animal languages.
Okay.
And that's because I want to be able to hear what people are saying and what they are doing. Even animals, like, because they're going through stuff. So I'm like, I want to know.
You want to help them.
So I would like to know every language so I can connect. And I think language is very beautiful, especially if you can read it and understand it, because there's different words that can't translate to our language. So if you can understand different languages, you can truly understand what a person's saying and what their culture's like and what everything around them's like. So I always wanted to do that.
Very nice. What do you secretly love about yourself?
Um, I think I've already said it. I've been through so much stuff, but I
Mhm,
have a big heart where it's not to the point where I'm being walked over or anything, but that
mhm,
I really love people who've done the worst of the worst you could think of.
mhm.
And some point times I'd be talking to God, I'm like, this is not fair. I should not be loved like this to them. Like, they don't deserve it. But then I'm like, I don't deserve it. So I would say that's probably my biggest thing I love and kind of get annoyed with. is that I can always truly love. Like if something were to happen, I could truly love a person and really be there. Pray.
Nice. I always tell myself, you know, who am I?
Yeah,
At the end of the day, it's like, who are you? God loves you. So, hey,
it
you
sounds
know,
bad, but it's to really know that in the midst. Because my biggest thing was disrespect. Like
mhm,
you cross a certain barrier and it was complete disrespect. Like that used to really bother me. But then
mhm,
I remember one time at the homeless shelter, God was like, "They did this to Jesus. You think you're better than him?" I said, "Okay, Lord." Now, like not
like,
making in the in it moment, you don't feel that cliche where it's like, "Oh, who am I?" You're like, "No,
mhm,
you can't talk that talk." But then when
mhm.
God make that choice, I'm like, "You know what? Right, God, you're right. Let me take a
You're
step."
right. You are exactly, yes, that is it. Um, I mean, I know you're grateful for God, but what are some of the things that you are most grateful for?
I'm grateful for the tribe I have.
Okay.
Um, my friends, I have a lot of friends, but because I don't open up as much to a lot of people
Mhm,
because of my natural introvert, I have a small tribe with the friend group. And then with my family, we're very intimate, and I just love that I have that. I love that we can talk and actually have a real conversation. It doesn't have to be, oh, the weather is great today. Girl, I just got,
mhm.
but it's like, let's really talk
Yeah.
at any time. And it doesn't matter where we are in the country. It doesn't matter if we haven't talked in weeks or months. It's still like that. And
Mhm,
I'm grateful for that because I know a lot of people can go their whole life and not find more than two.
mhm. Nice. So, what advice would you give yourself 3 years ago?
3 years ago. Uh, don't be scared of being uncomfortable.
Okay.
I feel
Nice.
like wrestling through what I felt was uncomfortable was me breaking through barriers that allowed me, that was keeping me back from growing.
Mhm, mhm. I heard, and people say it all the time, but it stuck. It resonated with me when Steve Harvey said it. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and I just love that because it's like that's what we're going to be for the rest of our lives. Very uncomfortable, and we have to get familiar with that, knowing that it is growing us, it's moving us.
Yeah.
So we're shaking and breaking boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Who were your inspirations?
So when you said Selena, I don't know if you could pee, but I got so teary. Growing up, that was before I had my own identity. Growing up, I can tell you her whole movie that you just watched word for word right now. Like
Wow.
4 to 9 times every single day, and I would put on the different costumes. I knew every move, all her songs, everything.
Oh,
I remember
wow.
as a kid, I mapped it out. It's like I'm gonna be just like Selena when I'm old enough to leave Michigan. I'm moving down to Corpus, and all of this stuff. And then I went to middle school, and I was like, all right, I'm Rocky. Um, I'm going to her because just like you
Mhm.
said, joy. It was just so beautiful and how she loved her fans, not as fans, but these are people
Mhm.
who like she really cherished. And I just
Mhm.
at a young age to be able to see that it
Yeah.
molded me. And then I was also the girl who had what 5 older brothers, but I was obsessed with princesses, and I never understood why I liked the princesses because it wasn't
Mhm.
the dresses, it wasn't the tiaras, it wasn't the castles, but I knew I was just drawn to them. And then when I was in middle school or whatever high school, I sat back one day and I was like, okay, so why do you like princesses so much? Because I'm like grown, I'm sitting here watching a princess movie. I'm like, why do I like this?
I think, honestly, a princess represents a level of maturity. It represents a level of um, a woman that we all desire to be. Like, the way her dress flows, her beauty, and her eloquent, nature. I just think that's something that most women desire to be, and we're looking at it and we hold them to a higher standard, and you know that's what you were doing when you were representing winning the pageants, and you were representing your crown, and it inspires people. You're traveling and you're helping young girls see greater, see more of themselves. It was a reflection.
Thank you.
So, and I know it was hard for you to accept it because you like, I don't deserve this, but you were the
Like,
chosen one to
don't, but
represent God.
yeah. He was like,
You
but
were,
saying it was me low key disrespecting God because it's like, God, what you gave me, I'm saying that ain't enough.
mm-hmm,
So he actually talked to me and broke down why like princesses, and it was because each one he broke down why. I remember I used to love Snow White just because animals loved her, not just people, but animals were attracted to her. I'm like, wow.
wow.
And he said because she had a kindness and a peace in her that attracted things that weren't just off of the flashiness. So that
Mm-hmm,
liked her. Was Cinderella because she was humble. She was a rich woman, young woman, came from something, but she still was very humble. Even when she went to her brags and back in the palace, she stayed humble. And he broke down each one. He was like, which each one you implemented in yourself. You tried to, and that
mm-hmm.
was imitating. And then as I matured, now I'll say I love Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou, I think, helped mold me a lot as a young woman.
Nice.
Just like how you said, like you swave. I learned because I started modeling at a young age, and I was modeling
Mm-hmm,
around really a mature crowd.
mm-hmm,
But I was able to still use my voice. That that was a little scandalous. I don't want to wear it. I'm not comfortable in it. I don't want to wear it, even though I know I'll probably get more views with it. But because of my Angela saying, it's not how you are flashy, but it's how you carry yourself as a queen. And
yeah.
with that, I realized how I carried myself and keeping in that mindset that people realized that in me. It wasn't just me recognizing it, but other people were coming to me recognizing that and treating me
Mm-hmm.
with respect. And I was actually getting more views, more magazine covers, more magazine editorials because how I carried myself. Not because the outfit was flashy, but it's how you carry yourself. And I think that helped a lot too. I was
I
being
totally agree with that. Rocky, when I was getting dressed earlier, I just kept hearing it's the simple things that confound the wise. It's the
yeah.
simple things. And most people would be like, there was a time where I did things and I didn't understand why I did things. And God was giving me the clear vision to do it this way. And other people were saying, that's not God.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I so beg to differ. I mean, I've gotten this so many times on this journey. But what I'm discovering is my walk is so different. The relationship, my purpose is not so different than winning the souls, but so different in the path or the things that God will have me to do as an individual. And I love the way that you share that and put that out there, especially on your Instagram, because there's so many young women who need to see that I can carry myself in such a way and I can represent myself in such a way that it's not trashy, it's not despicable, but it's still glorifying God. And I'm still able to enjoy certain things in life. And
Yeah.
I think those are some powerful keys that you're sharing with your generation and your audience and your followers. It makes all the difference in some people's lives.
I appreciate that.
Um,
That was the hardest thing that I battled a lot because modeling is something that I did often. I do it multiple times a week. And it
mhm,
was never like my main thing, but I would work with people who it was their profession.
mhm.
And I remember when doing it, I would hear a lot of first ladies and church mothers coming to me and telling me, like, God doesn't want you to do this. You don't need to be doing this. And you got to understand, I know I'm young, so most people probably, they don't expect you to have a relationship. But I had a solid relationship. I do have a solid relationship with God. So it's like, whatever I do, I already run it past him before I do it. Um,
Exactly.
so I learned that you sound out other people and make sure you're solely hearing him. But if you have a respectful crowd that you respect and you know their walk, no one can truly know, but you know them and you can respect them to take it in and listen to it.
Mhm.
But don't make it concrete until you go to God first.
I recall a time, and I'll share this and we can move on past it. I recall a time where I'm a hairstylist
Mm-hmm.
and I was doing hair battles and things like that. And I had about 10 models. None of them were, well, maybe two, but for the most part, they weren't saved. They weren't living the Christian life and they did things that I didn't do, but they were my models. And we practiced. And the vision that I had, it was a little different. But at the end of the day, after we did all that practicing and all that collaboration, one by one, I saw them coming to Christ.
Wow.
Now I can say to date that all of them are saved. So,
Wow.
and that's when God began to show me that the vision I give you is for you and not for other people to come in and distort. And you begin to grow and have that boldness to say, I'm going to do whatever it is God tells me to do and hear from him versus all the other people saying, well, that don't look like God. That ain't what God will have. We're not God. We don't know.
And then the more you study your word, you realize that the disciples and the ones he chose, they didn't look the same. They
No,
all had completely different walks. And on the outside, he would say, oh no, they ain't the ones. You need the ones in the church. But the ones in the church, the ones who put God on, Christ, or on the cross. So it's
exactly.
like learning more and gaining knowledge by going into the word is allowing me to even get stronger with God, really relationship wise, but it's allowing me to know that people are going to talk. Allow them to talk.
Exactly. I absolutely love it. So keep doing your Bible studies. I mean, I just think they're phenomenal and you really do break it down in a way to where it's relatable. It's relatable and it's on a level that people are ready to receive. Um, what is something about you we might be surprised to learn?
Mm. I'm such a weirdo. I don't know. So many different. Um, what's a weird thing? I think I've already said it. Maybe like I was cheer captain and basketball captain the same year, and I'm so girly
Okay.
that most people didn't realize that. I'm
Mhm.
an introvert. People think I'm an extrovert. So like those are the weird things. I don't know.
Okay. What's your favorite holiday? And tell us about what your family does on that holiday.
I have to say Easter because it's always been my favorite, and it's been my favorite because as a little girl, I would get a new dress that day, and I felt like a princess and
See? Yes.
ate good food. So it was just really fun going to church in a dress, and I loved Easter.
Nice. So do you still buy you a nice dress for Easter and,
Um,
pink, purples?
I usually probably wear white, so
Okay.
I used to be in choir at church, and
Okay.
we always wear white, so that would be why.
So
Um,
you can sing as well.
okay.
Oh, wow. You are,
I'm
I
not
mean, it's
at all.
funny.
I
What do you
wouldn't.
sing in the shower? What do you sing?
It depends on the type of day. You might get some gospel, some old school R&B, get some Sade, some Lauryn Hill.
Nice, nice. So you can sing. Very, very nice.
Because
Um,
I started singing in elementary school, and I used to travel around all of Michigan singing Selena in Spanish, only in Spanish.
oh wow. Well, now can we
uh,
hear? Okay. Try. I can't sing at all. Like,
I can't sing. I just love it though.
um, so what do you have coming up in the next several months?
What's coming up? I have a handful of big ambassador shoots coming up with modeling and different brands. One being Wisdom, another was Sienna Trees. We actually she just put out a line, and it's a nude collection for all different shades. And
Mhm.
it took over Detroit. It was in all the newspapers, and her clothes, I love them because it no matter your shape,
Okay.
it will make you look curvy without looking scandalous, and
Okay.
you feel it when you're wearing it because it makes you just look great in every angle.
So who's
So
the
I have a line
designer again?
Sienna Therese.
Okay. So you'll post her on your Instagram and I'll share.
Yes, I
Okay. So
will. Actually, the picture
mhm.
you have on your flyer, that was her dress.
Oh, nice. That was a very beautiful dress. So who are some of the designers you have modeled for?
Um, I'm gonna say Sienna because I love her. She's my favorite.
Okay.
Um, Miss Berry, um, Style Sassy Boutique is a great one too, and they're
Mhm.
actually based out of. So shout outs to them. Um, I model for Kate Spade, Gucci, some Louis. I'm signed with Somerset, the
Okay.
mall. So like all all
There's
their
okay.
their stores.
Very nice. Nice. So I saw you modeling some furs. Those were very beautiful.
Yes, Brooker Tunis, out of West Bloomfields.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Um, Rocky, you have such a plethora of gifts and talents. I mean, you could just pull, I am impressed. I'm grateful for your time because you're doing so many things. We actually could have did this really live today because she's here in Texas, which would have been a nice treat. um, so what I want you to do is, what do you want to leave people with? I want you to sum it up and give them something that they can hold on to.
I would say the greatest thing I think a person can do for themselves is take a step back. No matter what it is, just take a step back and spend time with yourself. Self reflect in every area where it feels uncomfortable. Because I think a lot of emotions, especially if they made us feel some type of way, it's a way easy for us to push it back,
Mhm.
where it's like, okay, I can go on without dealing with that and thinking about it. But you need to sit in a room and really like just dive in deep with that and pull those emotions out. You need to feel them to go through them and to get past them. And once you get past them, it grows you, it levels you up, it gives you a whole nother level of peace, joy. You felt the pain, but you had to feel the pain to appreciate this next level of joy and peace you're getting. Um, and that would be my biggest advice, is goes back to getting comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's how you grow as yourself and how you can truly touch other people.
Excellent, excellent. As I am Shalita say, you are such a wise soul. What a blessing and what a gift to us. I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for you. I wish you great success on all of your endeavors, all of them. And thank you guys for joining us on this segment of Open Vibes. We appreciate you.